My mom married my childhood bully and kicked me out, so I refused to pay for her expensive surgery. It was just me and my mother growing up. My father died when I was only 3, so she and I were very close. We would do things together and have fun. I was a sensitive kid, so I never really fit in at school. There was one kid, Jamie, who would bully me a lot. You see, my mom was pretty popular on social media. She would post a lot of pictures of herself on Instagram and a lot of people found her attractive. As you might guess, this gave a lot of people in my school some ammo to make fun of me. Whenever Jamie would see me, he would say absolutely heinous things about my mom, and make stupid jokes like I was with your mom last night, and your mom says she likes it like this. My mom knew about the bullying and complained to the school, but there wasn't much anyone could do. We just had to tough it out. Fast forward a few years and I had finished school. I had trouble finding a job and was struggling financially, and my mom was super lonely. But one day my mother called me. She said she had found someone new. I was happy that she wouldn't be alone anymore, but she told me to prepare myself for when I met him. Confused, I asked why I had to prepare myself. So she invited me for dinner at an address in our neighborhood. It would be the 3 of us. I didn't know what to expect. When I came to the door, I found out my mother's new love. It was Jamie. He apologized for bullying me. I accepted his apology because I didn't want to make my mother uncomfortable, but I wasn't enjoying the dinner. I left as soon as I could. Later I called my mother to tell her that I didn't approve of Jamie. He bullied me and now he was a loser with no money, but she said she was in love and entitled to her happiness, so I backed off. In the next few months, my mother was with Jamie all the time. We used to have dinner every Sunday night, but she would blow it off to go on dates with Jamie. I was able to deal with this, but it wasn't until my mom called me into the living room last week. I walked downstairs and I saw Jamie. He had a huge suitcase. My mom said that I need to leave, and there isn't enough room for me anymore. She kicked me out and Jamie moved in that day. No warning, nothing. I was devastated, but I tried to be understanding. I hadn't spoken to my mother for maybe a month. I felt super bad because this was the most distant that we have ever been in our lives. I was on my way to work, and she called out of the blue. She said that she really needed surgery. When I asked her what was wrong, she refused to tell me. I got so scared and drove to her house as quickly as I could. When I got there, I asked again and she finally told me. She said that she really needed Botox and facelift surgery. I was even more disappointed than I was relieved. My mother basically ignored me for almost a year. Now she was calling me for money? Why don't you get Jamie to pay for it? I asked, knowing he was a complete loser with no money. Then I hung up the phone and blocked her number. Am I the jerk? I laughed at my sister for giving her baby an anime name, so she blasted me on TikTok and ruined my life. My sister has been obsessed with anime her entire life. As a kid, she would buy all the posters and toys and go to the conventions. I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought she would grow out of it, but now she's an adult and it's really starting to affect her life. When she got her first boyfriend, I was happy for them. They were a perfect match. They both loved anime, and went to all the anime conventions and went on a vacation to Japan. The problem was, my sister got pregnant only after 2 months of seeing him. Although our family was super displeased with this, she was super excited and had the baby. She had a boy and he was born 2 weeks ago. When I asked her what her baby was named, she said his name was Deku, the name of one of her favorite anime characters. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. I told her that her kid is gonna end up getting bullied and she better change his name as quickly as she could. She got super offended, and said that she knows how it feels to be named Deku because she dresses up like the character and fills his room with anime merch. I told her that has nothing to do with his name, but I just let it go. I can't help but think he will grow up to hate anime and resent his mother for giving him this stupid name and basically forcing the culture on him. Well, apparently, I'm not the only one who had a problem with this whole anime thing. My sister's husband didn't like it either. In fact, he was so fed up with it, he filed for divorce. Now they are going through this messy divorce because she won't let this anime thing go. I thought I would help my sister by making her see how dumb her anime obsession is and how it's ruining her life. I invited her over for dinner. We chatted for a while. Then I started telling her that maybe she should see her husband's side of things. My sister wasn't having any of it. She said, how dare I interfere with her life and marriage. She ended up taking my plate of dinner and throwing it on the ground. Glass shattered everywhere. Soon after, she kicked me out and told me to never come back. The next day I was scrolling on social media, TikTok to be exact. On my For You page, I see my sister. She made this huge rant about me and changed things around to try and make it seem like I was being offensive against Japanese culture because I didn't approve of her baby naming decision. The post included several pictures of me at all of my personal social media accounts. I had hundreds of messages from angry anime lovers. I tried to defend myself, but every time I tried to explain it, people would twist what I was saying to make it seem like I was being offensive. My own family won't even talk to me anymore. Am I the jerk? Steal my half of our parents' inheritance? Fine, I'll just waive $100 bills from your prison cell. Me and my brother never got along. I was the responsible one who played by the rules and somehow flew under the radar. He was the family troublemaker. He always had legal troubles. And he was often rude and snarky to me and my parents. A lot of the time, he would come home and scream at me and my mother and father over nothing, and would get violent. He would break things and he even hit us. If my brother had any friends, the relationship wouldn't last long. My parents passed when we were in our 30s. They were in a car accident. They left us their savings, which they equally divided between us. Maybe they thought that giving my brother some money would help him turn his life around. But they were wrong. As you might predict, my brother spent the money on gambling, alcohol, fancy hotel rooms, designer clothes, expensive cars, you name it. He threw his savings away on nothing. He was broke in a matter of weeks. Well, wouldn't you know it, my brother decided to call me up to ask for a portion of my savings. 50% to be exact. He offered to repay it, but I knew there was no chance of that happening. I told him to go to hell. I knew he wasn't happy about it, but that's what you get for being a jerk to your brother your entire life. A few days later, I went to look at my bank account, and I saw my money was gone. It didn't take me long to figure out what happened. My brother had hacked into my Zelle account. He transferred all the money to himself. Lucky for me, his paper trail wasn't too hard to decipher. I called my bank right away to tell them about the unauthorized transaction. I also told them I had a good idea that my brother had transferred the money to his account. They could see that the money in question had gone directly into his account. They returned the money to me right away. There was a brief investigation and eventually, my brother was convicted of fraud. Fraud is a felony, so he was sentenced to years in jail. When I went to visit him, I spat in his face and waved $100 bills through the glass. My brother has been in jail for a few years now. Am I the jerk? My wife chose Taylor Swift over me, so I chose divorce. My wife loved Taylor Swift. She had Taylor Swift everything. Taylor Swift was wallpapered all over our home. My wife played her music 24/7. Sometimes I wondered if she loved Taylor Swift more than she loved me. Our 5th wedding anniversary was in a few months and we decided it would be nice if we could renew our vows. Our wedding wasn't very big because we didn't have a lot of money back then. Now that we were doing okay, we decided to have a bigger celebration. We chose a special venue, got a nice dress and tux, got a fancy caterer, the whole 9 yards. We had spent a lot more on the party than I thought we would, but it made my wife happy, so it was a good investment. One day, about 6 weeks out from the party, my wife came home all excited. She said she had gotten Taylor Swift tickets for the upcoming tour. I asked her when the concert would be. She said September 15th, the same day as our wedding anniversary. When I pointed it out to her, she turned pale. She said she was so excited to get the tickets she wasn't thinking about the date. I said, no problem. You can just sell them. I knew Taylor Swift tickets were in high demand. I thought that she could probably even sell them and make a profit. But my wife said no way. She had been on the computer for hours trying to get the tickets and she wasn't about to let them go. She said they were hard to get and that this might be a once-in-a-lifetime chance for her. We could always postpone the party to next year. The truth was, we could postpone the party to next year, but we had already put deposits down on everything and we couldn't get the money back. We would lose thousands of dollars. Plus having to tell everyone that party was cancelled was going to be difficult and embarrassing. And this was our 5th wedding anniversary. Renewing your vows for your 6th anniversary just didn't seem right. Also, I was her husband. She didn't even know Taylor Swift. I explained all this to my wife, but she just kept saying how she might never get another chance to see Taylor Swift. We argued back and forth for days, but she wouldn't give in. That's when I told her I had enough. It was Taylor Swift or me. If she wasn't going to sell her ticket for our anniversary party, I was going to divorce her. She told me that if I couldn't understand her love of Taylor Swift, maybe we were better off apart. Then I proceeded to throw all her stuff into a suitcase, including all her Taylor Swift merch. I didn't care if it got damaged. I wanted it and her out of my home. Am I the jerk?
My ex left me because I'm too fat. He just can't believe it when we meet again after 3 years. Brian was the hottest guy I've ever dated, dark, tall, and handsome. We met each other in college. I couldn't explain why, but he asked me out and initiated the entire relationship. A little about me: I'm 5 feet 7 inches, 220 pounds at the time. No makeup, no hourglass figure. I liked comparing myself to a blobfish. That's why I was more than unsettled when this conventionally attractive man, Henry Cavill type, was determined to get together with me. But he was not only good looking, but also really sweet in character. He tried to cheer me up and gently and understandingly motivated me to change my lifestyle a bit. He was very active though. Instead of telling me to eat less crap like my last boyfriend did, he would come over every weekend and help me with meal prep. He motivated me to do sports with him, be it for walks or lightweight training. I really believed that I had finally found the man who would give me positive encouragement and help me achieve goals that I didn't have enough discipline to reach on my own. Although Brian and I didn't have intimacy, that didn't bother me. Cuddling was enough for me. And even though I lost a few pounds after a year, I didn't feel comfortable posing naked before him. That didn't seem to bother him either. After a year, however, I noticed that he was changing. He grew impatient, harsh in tone. The routine formed over the past few months had been swept away. He came by less and less, and when I asked him for help because I wanted to learn new exercises, he snapped at me that there was no point anyway. During the conversation he got louder and louder. I asked him what I did wrong, and he yelled at me that I wasn't motivated enough, that he couldn't be with an ugly fat girlfriend, and that he left me. I was so shocked that I just asked him to leave my apartment. I then slipped into a deep depression. It was so bad that I sometimes couldn't even get out of the house. One of my college friends, Ivy, who had noticed that I was no longer on campus, finally stopped by to check on me. So I told her everything. So far, we've only had superficial contact. My real friends hadn't contacted me for weeks. Then Ivy told me she didn't know I was with Brian, because she had always seen him with other women. He went on dates at night and was currently dating a pretty blonde law student. I showed her pictures and texts with him by Brian because I knew she didn't believe me. Ivy was absolutely shocked. What she told me finally brought me down. Why had he put up with me when he'd rather be with other women, more beautiful women? After a few days I pulled myself together and returned to the lectures, determined to confront Brian.